He then claimed to have put Johnson's body in a rooftop storage container before sliding him down the stairs of the home and loading his body in a minivan.
The informant was revealed to be a man with whom Gledhill was having an extramarital affair.
Imagine living in one of those neighborhoods where every house looks like it belongs in a magazine. That's Cottonwood Heights, Utah, a wealthy suburb just outside Salt Lake City where million-dollar homes line peaceful streets against a backdrop of mountain views. This is where Jennifer Gledhill, 41, lived with her husband, Matthew Johnson, and their 3 kids. From the outside, they seemed to have everything. The dream house, nice cars, designer clothes, family vacations. But behind closed doors, a dark story was unfolding. One that would end with Matthew dead, Jennifer in jail, and their community trying to understand how things went so horribly wrong. On September 28, 2024, Jennifer Gledhill walked into the Cottonwood Heights Police Department to report her husband missing. Her story seemed simple enough. Johnson, a member of the Utah National Guard Special Operations Unit, hadn't shown up for work. She claimed she hadn't seen him since September 20th, saying he mentioned being away for a week and told her not to call.
An affidavit stated, Gledhill provided Matthew's telephone numbers and a vehicle description. Gledhill stated that Matthew told her that he was going to be gone for a week and not to call him. Officer Comagir noticed that during his initial call with Gledhill, she seemed distracted and at times nervous.
Indeed, something felt off to the officers taking her report. Police are trained to pick up on small details, and Jen's behavior was raising red flags. She seemed distracted and nervous, not the typical reaction of someone genuinely worried about their missing spouse. What police didn't know yet was that Gledhill had already confessed to someone else, a man she'd been having an affair with. The day before reporting Johnson missing, she showed up at her lover's house just before midnight, bringing him some prints as a gift. She was visibly upset and told him she wanted him to have the prints because she'd probably be going away for a long time. Informants stated that on Sunday, September 22nd, 2024, Gledhill asked to come over to his house just before midnight to give him some prints. Informants stated that Gledhill arrived at his house and was visibly distraught. Gledhill then told informant that she was likely going away for a long time and wanted to give the prints to someone who would enjoy them. Then she told him what really happened to Matthew.
Gledhill was arrested on October 2nd after an informant told police she admitted to killing her husband, who was with the Utah National Guard. The informant was revealed to be a man with whom Gledhill was having an extramarital affair.
According to court documents, Gledhill confessed to shooting Johnson in the head with his own 9mm Glock while he slept in their bed on September 21st. This wasn't a crime of passion or self-defense. Evidence suggests she had planned it. Just 2 days before the murder, she had shown her lover the loaded gun, perhaps already thinking about what she would do.
Informant stated that Gledhill told him not to say anything and that it was not a crime to not say anything.
According to her lover's statement, she basically unalived Matthew because he was upset she was sleeping with someone else. What's particularly mind-blowing about Jennifer Gledhill's actions is the sheer arrogance behind them. Not only did she betray her husband by having an affair, but she was actually angry that he was upset. It shows an absolutely twisted sense of reality. Like the rules that apply to everyone else just simply didn't apply to her. The casual cruelty of it all, treating murder like it was just another errand to run, says everything about who Jennifer Gledhill really is. She wasn't just a cheater or a liar. She was someone who saw other people as props in her own personal drama, even the father of her children. And when her lover did the right thing and went to the police, she probably felt betrayed, as if she wasn't the one who had just committed the ultimate betrayal herself. What Jennifer did next reads like a dark crime novel, except it was all too real.
Gledhill allegedly told the man that she shot Johnson in the head as he slept in their bed. She then claimed to have put Johnson's body in a rooftop storage container before sliding him down the stairs of the home and loading his body in a minivan.
Imagine working alone in the middle of the night, sliding a container with an adult man's body down a flight of stairs and then loading it into her minivan. She then allegedly drove north and buried her husband in a shallow grave somewhere that it still hasn't been found. But disposing of the body was just the beginning. Jen had to deal with all of the evidence left behind. She smashed Matthew's phone to pieces. She drove his truck to a nearby neighborhood and left it there, making sure it was clean of any personal belongings, something that would later strike investigators as strange. Perhaps the most disturbing part of this story is how Jennifer's parents got involved. A neighbor reported seeing them at the house on September 24th, cleaning late into the night with all of the lights on. When police questioned them later, their stories didn't quite line up. Gledhill's mom admitted to buying a new mattress from Amazon because her daughter asked her to. A weird request when your husband is supposedly just missing. Her dad claimed that he was only helping with a garage leak, but he slipped up when talking about the master bedroom, saying, "I did not go in where the incident happened." Here's the awful thing. Nobody had told him about any incident in that room.
It would have been nice if they cooperated early on. That could have helped us in our investigation, but they chose to not assist us.
These monsters were in cahoots with their evil daughter. Jennifer had a documented history of deception and previous attempts to paint Matthew as an abuser in court. So it's possible she fed her parents the same manipulative lies. Maybe she'd convinced them that she had no choice but to defend herself against some imagined threat, playing on their parental instincts to protect their daughter at any cost. While this doesn't excuse their apparent role in covering up a murder, it might explain why two seemingly normal people would help clean up a crime scene. Unless, of course, the capacity for such darkness simply runs in the family. These three were missing something huge, though. In 2024, you can't really get away with murder. These days, it is almost impossible to do anything without leaving a digital trail. Jennifer Gledhill's phone GPS showed her movements on September 22nd, traveling north on highways and then mysteriously turning off her phone for several hours, presumably while disposing of evidence. Security cameras caught her at a gas station car wash that night, meticulously cleaning her Chrysler Pacifica minivan, opening every door and washing every surface like her life depended on it. When detectives searched her house, what they found was damning. Even with a new mattress in place, they discovered blood on the bed slats underneath. Here's something investigators know that most people don't. You can't really clean up blood completely. As one forensic expert explained, materials like wood and carpet padding are porous, meaning blood soaks in and leaves traces that can be found weeks or even months later, no matter how well you clean the surface.
When detectives served a search warrant on Gledhill's parents' home, they found a plastic tote that contained an empty gun box wrapped in a child's onesie. The district attorney's office says the gun container matched the gun model Gledhill had shown to the man who informed police.
They also discovered packages of psychedelic mushrooms in Jennifer's minivan, adding charges to her list of growing problems.
The Cottonwood Heights Police Department arrested 41-year-old Jennifer Gledhill Wednesday night on suspicion of murdering her husband, Matthew Johnson. Johnson was reported missing on September 23rd when he didn't show up for work at his Utah National Guard base.
When news of Jennifer's arrest exploded across local media, the Cottonwood Heights community was left in disbelief. Neighbors who had waved to her during morning jogs, parents who had sat next to her at school functions, and fellow churchgoers who had shared Sunday services with a family all struggled with the same haunting question. How had they missed the signs? The Gledhills had been fixtures at the neighborhood barbecues and school fundraisers. Jennifer was known for organizing class parties and volunteering at school events. She'd post carefully curated family photos on social media, showing off ski trips and beach vacations. She presented herself as the kind of mother who had it all together, all while maintaining what seemed like a perfect marriage to her military husband.
He leaves, comes back, causes chaos. That's just been my experience. So as it's now progressed to the point that it has with everybody else that's involved, I now really believe that he's not with us anymore. And it's sad. It's still sad. He was part of our life for 12 years. That's sad.
The case forced many in the community to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the people who seem the most normal on the outside are hiding the darkest secrets. Looking back, there were warning signs that weren't right between Jennifer and Matthew. She had filed for divorce in July, and it was supposed to be final by the end of October. She had tried to get a protective order against him, claiming he had been violent with her. But when a judge looked at the evidence, including text messages and videos Jen herself had recorded, they saw a different story. The judge dismissed the order, saying Jennifer was just as confrontational and mean to Matthew as she claimed he was to her. Maybe she was trying to scream perpetrator before she herself could be exposed as one. Now Jennifer faces serious charges: first-degree murder, 5 counts of obstruction of justice, drug possession with intent to distribute, desecration of a human body, and witness tampering. She's in Salt Lake County Jail with no bail because authorities worry she might run or destroy more evidence. According to her lover-turned-informant, she said she'd rather take her own life than spend the rest of her life in prison. Sam Jill, the Salt Lake County DA, said in a public statement, "Our hearts go out to the loved ones of Mr. Matthew Johnson, not only a father and a son, but a member of the Utah National Guard. Our office will continue to work closely with investigators as we seek justice for Mr. Johnson." The ripple effects of this crime touched so many lives. Think about the couple's kids. 17, 11, and 5 years old, now living with relatives, trying to process that their dad is dead and their mom is in jail. Matthew's fellow soldiers in the National Guard's 19th Special Forces Group lost someone that they described as a quiet professional who served his country for almost 2 decades without seeking attention or praise.
I've been active in the military for the last 19 years.
His friend and fellow Special Forces member Matthew Miller captured Johnson's character perfectly when he said,
"It's been hard to accept the loss of such an important teammate. He was well liked, he was the consummate quiet professional," which is what we refer to because Special Forces operators, they're not the ones in the spotlight doing things for accolades and glory. They're the ones that are doing the hard work day to day.
Matthew wasn't someone doing things for attention or praise, but someone doing the right thing, day after day, year after year. The contrast between his quiet integrity and Jennifer's web of deception couldn't be more stark or more tragic. Here's the thing we keep learning from these cases. Relationships can be complicated, and sometimes it's hard to see warning signs when you're in the middle of one. This case shows how things can spiral out of control when problems aren't addressed properly. Whenever this kind of incident happens, it affects everyone, family, friends, and the whole community. It changes how safe we feel, and it shakes us to our core. If you're just starting to date or you're already in a relationship, the Jennifer Gledhill case offers some serious reality checks about what to watch for. First up, how your partner deals with anger and frustration. It's a massive red flag if they're always blaming others instead of trying to actually solve the problem. And don't just focus on how they treat you. Pay attention to their behavior with everyone. Jennifer showed her true colors long before the murder, being confrontational and demeaning to Matthew and others around her. The judge who reviewed their case saw right through her act in those text messages and videos, which proves another crucial point. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The truth always has a way of bubbling to the surface, and trying to hide things like Jen's affair only creates a snowball effect of bigger problems. And you guys, violence is never the answer, no matter how desperate things might feel. There are always people and resources available to help you find a better way forward.
So while we file charges today, the work continues. The body has not yet been recovered, but based on the totality of the evidence that we were able to gather, we felt sufficiently comfortable that we had probable cause to warrant the filing of the charges that we did.
While investigators continue their search for Johnson's body, with over 25 warrants issued for phone and computer records, prosecutors feel confident they can prove their case even without finding his remains. Still, they keep searching, knowing Johnson's family needs that closure.
Yeah, this continues to be both an active prosecution as well as an ongoing active investigation.
This isn't just another true crime story, it's a wake-up call about recognizing toxic behavior in relationships before things turn deadly. It shows that sometimes the most dangerous threats aren't strangers, but people we trust. It reminds us that no matter how perfect someone's life looks on the outside, you never really know what's happening behind closed doors. The Jennifer Gledhill case will be studied for years, not just because of the legal details, but because it teaches us how quickly things can go wrong when we ignore relationship red flags. Let this story be a reminder that choosing partners carefully and maintaining healthy boundaries isn't just good advice. It could save your life. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Have you ever been in a dangerous situation? And how did you get out of it? Leave a comment and remember to spread kindness, never violence. See you soon, and don't forget to like and subscribe before you go.